Think about this morning. Did you choose to drink coffee, or was tea your preference? We like to think we're in complete control of our actions, from small decisions like breakfast to major life-changing events. But what if this sense of control is an illusion? What if every decision you make, big or small, is already predetermined by factors you don't even realize? We rarely question the choices we make because our brains convince us that we're in the driver's seat. It feels uncomfortable, even threatening, to imagine we might not be truly free. Yet scientists and philosophers have started challenging this comforting belief, arguing that our sense of free will might be nothing more than an elaborate mental trick. Free will is the idea that you have the power to make decisions independently without being fully predetermined by your biology, environment, or prior causes. At its core, free will suggests that in any given moment, you genuinely could have chosen differently. Most people naturally feel they have free will. When you decide to exercise instead of watching Netflix or choose a salad instead of fast food, it feels like your choice entirely. You feel accountable, proud, or sometimes regretful precisely because you believe the decision was yours to make. However, philosophers and scientists have long questioned whether this perception matches reality. If every event in the universe has a cause, including the firing of neurons in your brain, then perhaps your decisions are merely the inevitable outcome of a chain of events stretching back long before you were even born. The philosophical debate usually comes down to two major perspectives: free will versus determinism. Determinism is the belief that every action, including every choice you make, is ultimately caused by previous events. According to determinists, if we had enough information about your genetics, brain chemistry, past experiences, and environment, we could predict exactly what you'd choose at any moment. This doesn't mean your choices aren't meaningful or that you don't experience them deeply, but it does suggest that the sense of "I could have chosen otherwise" is an illusion created by the brain. Science provides strong evidence challenging the idea of free will, particularly through groundbreaking discoveries in neuroscience. Perhaps the most famous experiment was conducted by neuroscientist Benjamin Libet in the 1980s. Libet found that when subjects were asked to make a simple voluntary action, such as pressing a button, brain activity signaling their decision occurred before the subjects consciously felt they decided. What does that mean? It suggests your brain initiates your actions before you're even aware that you've decided. Your conscious mind might just be rationalizing the decision after the fact, creating a comforting illusion of control. More recent experiments have taken this even further. Neuroscientist John Dylan Haynes and his team, using advanced brain imaging technologies, have successfully predicted people's decisions several seconds before participants became consciously aware of making them. This suggests your brain might be operating like a computer program running commands in the background, only later informing your conscious mind. But it's not just your brain making these hidden decisions. Your genetics and environment also play massive roles in shaping your behavior. Genes influence personality traits, impulsivity, anxiety, aggression, and even preferences like risk-taking. Your environment further shapes these traits through childhood experiences, cultural influences, and social conditioning, guiding your decisions in ways you're rarely conscious of. So, if your choices are largely influenced by biology and past experiences beyond your awareness, do you truly control them? Or are you simply following a predetermined script that you're barely conscious of? Arthur Schopenhauer, the famous German philosopher, once said, "Man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills." According to Schopenhauer, we feel free because we act according to our desires, but crucially, we don't choose those desires. They're predetermined by factors outside our control. Philosophically, the debate between free will and determinism centers around whether our actions are genuinely open-ended or merely the unavoidable result of past events. Determinism argues that every event, including every choice you make, has been set in motion by previous causes, a chain that extends back infinitely. If determinism is true, your future is as fixed as the past, leaving no room for real choice. But does this mean we're simply robots, passively experiencing actions we mistakenly believe we control? Compatibilism, a philosophical position trying to reconcile determinism with free will, suggests a compromise. Compatibilists argue that even if your choices are predetermined, they're still meaningful because you actively participate in them. You choose freely according to your desires, even if those desires are influenced by factors beyond your awareness. However, philosopher Sam Harris challenges this view sharply. He argues that compatibilism is merely changing the definition of free will to make us feel comfortable, avoiding the unsettling reality. Harris insists that free will must mean genuine freedom to choose otherwise. He states, compatibilism amounts to nothing more than an assertion of the following creed: a puppet is free as long as he loves his strings. Harris's point is clear. If every choice you make is predetermined by previous causes, your genes, your upbringing, your past experiences, then real freedom is an illusion, even if it feels genuine. This philosophical challenge forces us to confront an uncomfortable reality. Are we merely observers of our decisions, believing we are actors only because we're blind to the forces pulling our strings? But what about randomness in the universe? Could quantum mechanics offer a way out, allowing room for genuine freedom? Beyond philosophy and neuroscience, psychology also shows how our sense of free will might be less reliable than we think. Your mind constantly makes shortcuts and unconscious choices, often without your awareness. Consider advertising. Ever found yourself suddenly craving a particular snack, coffee, or product without knowing exactly why? The truth is, advertisers spend billions each year because your mind is highly susceptible to subconscious influence. They subtly shape your preferences, desires, and behaviors, leaving you believing these were your own free choices. The same technique can be used for propaganda, but the influence runs deeper. Experiments in psychology have shown that humans often make decisions subconsciously, then rationalize them afterward as if they consciously chose them. This phenomenon is called post hoc rationalization. Your brain constructs a narrative to make sense of actions you've already taken, reinforcing your belief in free will. Even your personality, choices, and habits have largely been shaped by experiences from your past. Childhood, relationships, trauma, and social influences deeply affect how you make choices now, often without your awareness. If your decisions today are guided by subconscious influences, are those choices really yours? Or are you simply responding to hidden programming in your mind? But what if there's randomness in the universe? Some scientists argue quantum mechanics provides a potential loophole to determinism. Quantum mechanics suggests that, at the smallest scales, reality is fundamentally random. Electrons, photons, and particles don't follow predictable paths but appear to behave unpredictably. Some theorists argue that this quantum randomness might allow for true free will. After all, if the universe itself isn't completely predetermined, maybe our decisions aren't either. Yet there's a crucial issue here. Does randomness really equal freedom? Just because something is unpredictable doesn't necessarily mean it's freely chosen. If your decisions are random, they're still not fully controlled by you, just influenced by chance instead of fate. Even if randomness exists, that randomness alone might not give us meaningful free will. It simply replaces predictable determinism with unpredictable chaos, neither of which feels truly empowering. Quantum mechanics complicates our understanding of reality, but it doesn't clearly solve the free will debate. It leaves us still wondering, is freedom truly ours, or just another illusion layered on top of randomness? So, if your choices might be influenced, or even determined, by genetics, upbringing, subconscious biases, and potentially quantum randomness, does true freedom exist at all? And if our choices aren't truly ours, does life lose its meaning? At first, the idea sounds terrifying. If our lives are predetermined, why strive for anything at all? Why set goals, work hard, or pursue happiness? Why hold anyone accountable for their actions? You might act according to your desires, but you don't freely choose what you desire. Yet, this doesn't necessarily strip life of meaning. Instead, understanding this reality can increase empathy, compassion, and forgiveness. If you realize that every choice someone makes is deeply influenced by their past experiences, their biology, and their environment, it changes how you perceive responsibility. Acknowledging limited free will doesn't mean actions lose meaning. It simply shifts how we view responsibility, justice, and compassion. It encourages understanding rather than judgment, empathy rather than blame. Maybe, paradoxically, accepting limited freedom can lead to greater kindness towards others and ourselves. If free will is at least partially an illusion, how do you move forward? Should you abandon hope and surrender to fate? Not at all. Understanding the limits of your freedom doesn't make life meaningless. it can actually make life more meaningful. When you realize your choices arise from factors beyond your control, you can let go of guilt, shame, or regret that you carry unnecessarily. You can become more compassionate toward yourself and others. Rather than feeling trapped by determinism, you can embrace awareness, taking greater responsibility for how you respond to life's circumstances. Perhaps true freedom isn't about doing whatever you want, but how you consciously navigate your reactions to events you didn't choose. Acceptance allows you to find profound meaning precisely because you know life isn't entirely under your control. You can appreciate your life's journey for exactly what it is, rather than constantly battling against what you wish it could have been. Ultimately, the question of free will remains open-ended. Neuroscience suggests your brain might decide before you even realize it. Philosophy highlights the difficulty of distinguishing true freedom from mere randomness or subconscious influence. Psychology demonstrates how easily your mind tricks itself into believing in complete control. But maybe what matters isn't whether free will is real or an illusion. Maybe the real question is, how will you live, knowing your choices might not be entirely yours? Do you find freedom in accepting this idea, or does it make life feel less meaningful? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment below. Do you believe in free will? Have you ever felt that your decisions were not entirely your own? If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe to join me for more deep dives into the mysteries of reality and consciousness. Until next time, stay curious, keep questioning, and remember, understanding your mind is the greatest game you'll ever play.